Of the two most important news flows that came out from an investing perspective or from a markets perspective was, aside of course the whole successful G20 summit, is aside the large infrastructure deal signed between various countries and the launch of the Global Biofuels Alliance, launched with the support of 19 major consumer, producer, and interested countries. Now, how to think about a development like this, which is potentially large in nature, but might and will take time to fructify. But some bit of it is already underway. Now, let's welcome in Mr. Shishir Joshipura of Praj Industries, more as an industry think tank leader of sorts, as opposed to just the MD of Praj, to try and tell us how does he think about something like this. Mr. Joshipura, thank you so much for taking the time out and speaking to us again in less than a week.
Good morning, Neeraj. Thank you for having me again. So, as you mentioned, GBA is a very, very important development coming out of the G20 presidency of especially India, has shown what could be done at a global level to fight this whole big problem that is still, we think it's a little distant away, but it's right here at our doorstep on climate change, and how this could actually be solved. And GBA will provide a platform that will engage the countries that are yet not fully engaged. B will facilitate transfer of technology, movement and trade of biofuels, advance the cause of biofuels, establish common standards, make it available to countries that have not yet thought in that direction. I think this is fast changing in terms of including the whole world in this movement. And I think that's the big change. Otherwise we were looking at selected markets or selected geographies in the world where obviously this was already a big thing. India, United States, Brazil, several other countries, Southeast Asia, several others in South America as well. But I think this is one platform that will actually make it possible for governments to learn from governments that have already done it, and then include the industry and then move forward on this pathway, because biofuels are undisputed as far as their impact on greenhouse gas reduction is concerned.
All right. A lot of strategic announcements of this nature in the past, Mr. Joshipura, some go the distance, some don't. Do you reckon there is a probability of this going the distance because of the nature of the alliance and the sensitivity towards climate change?
Yes, Neeraj. There are a couple of more reasons why this will go forward. And as you rightly said, what is important is what is shown today as a platform actually goes on to become the foundation for building the future, right? Why am I so excited about it? It's for the simple fact that this is one area where the benefits transcend just one stakeholder. Governments have to do it because it makes economic sense for those countries that are agrarian in nature and are energy importing, goes without saying, because then you start to produce your own fuel. B, you include your farmers into mainstream economy. C, the money that leaves your shores today to import energy that then sort of moves forward, and you are in a position to use the wealth within your own boundaries, right? So your wealth is not leaving your shores; they are staying within. It creates employment. That's a big driver. I think there are many countries for this. This is a huge thing. How do we create employment in rural areas, in far-flung areas? And I think biofuels is one such thing that could really drive it forward. Governments by themselves are very keen because this is a dimension of energy security. There's a dimension of foreign exchange savings. And above all of this gets enveloped in the fact that every country is a signatory to the Paris Accord, where everyone has got NDCs to meet. And what's most important is that this is a very definitive way of reducing the greenhouse gas emission without some substantial change in the infrastructure of the energy in the country.
Got it. Mr. Joshipura, how does typically such a thing, let's assume that this is going to move ahead, what happens after such a large announcement that comes about? I mean, when do governments start engaging meaningfully? And of course, I understand it's a guess from your end as well right now, I presume, but still, you would have a more informed opinion than what normal populace would. So how does something like this move ahead? when does industry participate in this from a dialogue perspective, and when does something like this translate into business benefits for the right companies within this landscape?
Yeah, so I think what we have seen is the first and probably the most important step in the direction is this formation of a biofuel alliance platform, and I think that's the most important one because as the history has shown us, any change in this world order, especially when it comes to alternate energy sources, policy support is absolutely primal to anything moving forward. And I think this is the platform that will actually provide the right impetus and accelerate this whole transition. So that's number one. Number two, I think what we've seen now is the government-to-government dialogue getting established. But I'm sure we will see industry getting invited. We know that industry will be invited to this dialogue sooner than later. And once that starts to happen, we can actually start to look at creating programs, participating in ecosystems, identifying what is possible, because each geography will have a unique solution in terms of what feedstocks they have, what are their current policies, what are their energy compulsions, what are their usage patterns, what kind of infrastructure. They've got many questions to answer. But what is important is that this will put in front and right up front the whole issue of biofuels in front of those countries that have still not A, given a serious thought, or B, that those that were unaware of. So, for example, India and Brazil and United States, they already know what the subject is all about and what needs to be done. But there are many countries in the world who have sort of gone back and forth or who have not even started. And I think for them, this will be a very, very good initiating platform. And from here onwards, I see a big engagement possibilities for both government at the policy levels, between the government, and also with the industry to ensure that this kind of a thing goes forward.
Got it. My final question, Mr. Joshipura, from a Praj perspective, I mean, how do you take or how do you contribute to something like this, because it's large scale in nature and you are global in nature? Part one. Part two, also that your opportunity size was anyways large. Now that this opens up, how do you ensure balance sheet readiness to be able to take advantage of something large and meaningful that could come your way because of such a move that has happened?
Yeah, so I think what's most important is that we are present in over 100 countries in the world already in one form or other. We built plants at some moment in time or other into over 100 countries. So, and across the 5 continents. So we have a fair bit of an idea of how this whole ecosystem works and what is required to be done. What is critical is, as I was mentioning to you earlier, is to understand that for each country there will be a unique feedstock. And that needs not be same across. For example, it's corn in United States, it's sugarcane in Brazil, and so on. So and different countries will have different, and we have exposure to these different feedstocks. So from a technology perspective, our ability to take a feedstock and then find a process that will convert this to a usable form of energy, whether it's bioethanol or it is renewable natural gas or CBG as we call it in India, or any other form, sustainable aviation fuel. The forms can change depending on what the application is. But the fundamental idea is to get the feedstock right, get the technology right, and then get the end product right. And the whole concept will actually develop to a much bigger extent. It's not going to be a single product thing, as this platform will also provide for what I would just think like this, that just like a crude oil refinery, we are moving to an era of a bio refinery, where you start with a feedstock and you end up with different set of products depending on what you use. And I think this is where a big role will be played by Praj.
You were very constructive last week when we spoke. Then, between then and now, this alliance announcement has happened. Are you even more bullish currently, Mr. Joshipura?
Let me put it like this. We have always believed that the time has come for world to take cognizance of this great opportunity that biofuels present different economies. And the establishment of GBA will only help us accelerate the whole thing forward.
Got it. Mr. Joshipura, lovely talking to you. Thank you for taking the time out. And I urge you that in a month's time, when there is more clarity about how shape and form something like this takes, we would love to talk to you again on this concept, not necessarily from a Praj perspective alone, but from the move and the kind of move that this denotes.
Sure, I'll be happy to do that, Neil. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
having me.
so much, Mr. Joshipura, and viewers, thanks for tuning in.